"You're glowing," my sister Kenna told me as she arranged pastel-colored macarons on a 3-tiered platter. "Motherhood looks good on you." I smiled, adjusting 4-week-old Finn in my arms as he slept peacefully, oblivious to the decorations transforming our modest backyard into a celebration space. "I feel like I haven't slept in a month, so glowing seems generous." "It's true though," she insisted, stepping back to admire her handiwork. "There's something different about you. More grounded." "That's what pushing a human out of your body will do," I joked, though I knew what she meant. Since Finn's birth, I'd felt a profound shift in my priorities, my identity, my entire worldview. I'd expected to love my son, but the fierce, all-consuming nature of that love had still caught me by surprise. Kenna surveyed the yard, blue and white balloons tied to chair backs, a welcome baby Finn banner strung between trees, gift table already accumulating wrapped packages. "Are you sure you're up for this today, Layla? No one would blame you for postponing." I shook my head. "Darien's mom has been planning this for months. She flew in from Phoenix specifically for this weekend." At the mention of my mother-in-law, Kenna's expression tightened slightly. Marianne Rhodes and I had always had a cordial but distant relationship, the kind built on surface-level pleasantries that carefully avoided any deeper connection. She'd been visibly disappointed when her only son married me. 6 years ago, a community college art teacher with student loan debt and no family connections to speak of, rather than the polished corporate type she'd envisioned for him. "How's that been going?" Kenna asked carefully. "Having Marianne here?" "Fine," I said automatically, then reconsidered. "If I couldn't be honest with my sister, who could I be honest with?" "Challenging," I amended. "She keeps rearranging the nursery and telling me I'm holding Finn wrong." Kenna rolled her eyes. "Classic Marianne. She means well," I said. The phrase I'd repeated like a mantra throughout my relationship with Darien. His mother meant well when she gave me a gym membership as a birthday gift. She meant well when she sent us links to houses in better neighborhoods than the one we'd chosen. She meant well when she suggested postponing pregnancy until Darien's career was more established, despite the fact that at 35, he was already a successful architect with his own firm. "The road to hell," Kenna muttered, but left the saying unfinished as the sliding door opened and Darien emerged carrying a tray of champagne flutes. "Non-alcoholic for the new mom," he announced, flashing me the warm smile that had first caught my attention across a crowded gallery opening 7 years ago. With his dark curls and amber eyes, Darien still made my heart skip, even after 6 years of marriage, and now a child together. "My hero," I said, accepting a glass with my free hand. "Where's your mom?" "On a conference call," he said, glancing back toward the house. "Some crisis at the foundation. She said she'll be done before guests arrive." Marianne sat on the board of a prestigious arts foundation in Phoenix, a position she mentioned within 5 minutes of meeting anyone new. It was, along with her designer wardrobe and carefully maintained appearance, part of the polished image she had cultivated over decades of social climbing since her divorce from Darien's father. "Speaking of guests, who's actually coming to this thing?" Kenna asked, sampling one of the macarons. "I thought baby showers usually happened before the baby arrived." "Traditionally, yes," I acknowledged. But Finn came 3 weeks early, and Marianne had already arranged everything for today. So, I shrugged. "It's more of a baby welcome party now, I guess." "Mom's invited practically everyone she knows in town," Darien added, a hint of apology in his tone. "Plus some of her friends who are visiting from Phoenix." Kenna and I exchanged glances. What had originally been planned as an intimate gathering of close friends to celebrate our first child had apparently evolved into a social event for Marianne's network. "You should have said no," Kenna said quietly when Darien moved away to adjust the speaker system. "It's important to her," I replied, the second mantra of my marriage. "And it makes Darien happy when we get along." Finn stirred in my arms, his tiny face scrunching momentarily before relaxing back into sleep. I adjusted the light blanket around him, marveling at his perfect features, the delicate sweep of his eyelashes, the bow of his lips so like his father's. "Just promise me something," Kenna said, her expression serious. "Don't let Marianne turn your son's celebration into her show. This day should be about you, Darien, and Finn, not her social calendar." "I know," I assured her, though a flutter of unease settled in my stomach. Already I could hear Marianne's voice floating from the open window, her authoritative tone directing someone, probably the caterers she'd insisted on hiring. Despite my protestations that we could handle the food ourselves, I didn't know then how prophetic Kenna's warning would prove to be, or that by the end of the day, A casual comment would expose the fault lines in my marriage that I'd been carefully ignoring for years. By 2 o'clock, our modest backyard had transformed into something from a lifestyle magazine spread. Marianne had added her own touches to our decorations, fresh flower arrangements in crystal vases, linen napkins monogrammed with Finn's initials, and a professional photographer who kept asking me to smile more naturally while juggling a fussy infant and greeting guests. "Darien, darling, the Prestons are here," Marianne called from the gate, ushering in a silver-haired couple I'd never seen before. "They're on the hospital board with me in Phoenix." Darien dutifully went to greet them, leaving me beside the drinks table with Finn, who had begun to make the small grunting noises that usually preceded a full-blown cry. I bounced him gently, making my way toward the house for a feeding and hopefully a brief respite from the steadily growing crowd. "Leaving so soon?" Marianne intercepted me at the patio door, looking immaculate in a pale blue dress that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage payment. "Everyone's just arriving. Finn needs to eat," I explained, shifting him to my shoulder as his grunts intensified. She frowned slightly. "Can it wait? The Callaways just pulled up and they're dying to meet him." "Not if I want to avoid a meltdown in front of your guests." "No. Our guests," she corrected with a tight smile. "Here, let me take him. You can go prepare a bottle and I'll introduce him around." "I'm not bottle feeding yet," I said, the familiar tension headache beginning to pulse at my temples. "We're still establishing breastfeeding." Marianne's lips pursed in disapproval. She'd made her opinions on breastfeeding clear during my pregnancy. She hadn't breastfed. Darien and he turned out just fine. Plus, it would tie me down and prevent Darien from helping with feedings. That I might actually want that bonding time with my son seemed incomprehensible to her. "Well, perhaps you could be more discreet about it," she suggested, glancing meaningfully at the nursing cover draped over my shoulder. The sunroom would be perfect away from the main party. Before I could respond, Darien appeared at his mother's side. "Everything okay?" he asked, looking between us with the wary expression he always wore when we interacted. "Finn needs to eat," I repeated, a note of desperation creeping into my voice as his grunts escalated to pre-cry whimpers. "Of course," Darien said immediately. "Use our bedroom if you want privacy. I'll handle the guests." I shot him a grateful look and retreated inside, the noise of the gathering fading as I closed the bedroom door behind me. Settling into the glider chair we'd positioned near the window, I adjusted Finn and sighed with relief as he latched on, his tiny hands flexing against my skin. "Just you and me for a minute, buddy," I murmured, stroking his downy head. "No photographers, no strangers, no grandmother with opinions about everything." Through the window I could see the party continuing without me. Marianne moved gracefully from group to group, touching arms, laughing at appropriate moments, every inch the practiced hostess. Darien followed in her wake, smiling and accepting congratulations, as if the gathering had been his idea all along. I had just switched Finn to the other side when the bedroom door opened and Kenna slipped in, balancing 2 plates of food. "Thought you might be hungry," she said, setting them on the dresser. "Also, I'm hiding from Marianne's friend Judith, who keeps asking why I'm not married yet." I laughed despite my frustration. "Thanks, it's a zoo out there. You could say that." She settled on the edge of the bed. "I counted 32 people, and more keep arriving." "How many did you invite?" "About 12, close friends, and neighbors. The rest are Marianne's additions." Kenna's expression softened as she watched me with Finn. "He's perfect. Layla, worth all this chaos." "Absolutely," I agreed, looking down at his peaceful face as he nursed. "I just wish... What?" I hesitated, reluctant to voice the thoughts that had been swirling since Marianne's arrival 3 days ago. "I wish I felt like this was our celebration, not hers. Darien keeps deferring to her on everything, the guest list, the food, even where people should sit. It's like he forgets we're the parents. Have you told him how you feel?" "I've tried, but he says I'm being too sensitive, that his mom is just excited about her first grandchild." I adjusted Finn as he finished nursing, bringing him to my shoulder for burping. Maybe I am being sensitive. Hormones and sleep deprivation aren't exactly a recipe for rational thinking. "Trust your instincts," Kenna said firmly. "If something feels off, it probably is." A soft knock at the door interrupted us. Darien poked his head in, his expression apologetic. "Hey, sorry to bother you. Mom's ready to do the gift opening, and people are asking for you both. Now?" I looked down at Finn, who had just fallen into the milk-drunk stupor that usually preceded his best naps. "The Prestons need to leave by 4, he explained, as if this were a perfectly legitimate reason to interrupt our son's routine. I exchanged glances with Kenna, who raised her eyebrows in a silent, "I told you so." "Fine," I sighed, carefully standing to avoid waking Finn. "Let's get this over with." As we made our way back to the party, Darien placed a hand on the small of my back, a familiar, comforting gesture that momentarily eased my irritation. Whatever else was happening, we were partners in this new adventure of parenthood. We would figure it out together, as we always had. I couldn't have known then just how that partnership would be tested in the next hour, or the words that would shake the foundation of trust I'd built my marriage upon. The gift opening had been arranged with the precision of a military operation. Marianne had positioned a decorated armchair in the center of the yard, the mother's throne, she called it, with a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes, and arranged the guests in a semicircle around it. Darien sat beside me on a folding chair, while she stationed herself on my other side, a clipboard in hand to record each gift and giver. "For thank you notes," she explained, though I hadn't asked. "I'll help you write them." "Of course." Finn slept against my shoulder as the parade of presents began, designer baby clothes in sizes he'd outgrow in weeks. Silver-plated picture frames, handcrafted toys too advanced for a newborn. Each gift was met with appropriate coos from the audience, many of whom I barely knew, while Marianne diligently noted every item. "This one's from me," she announced after about 20 gifts, handing me a heavy box wrapped in pale blue paper. I managed to open it one-handed, revealing an ornate silver baby rattle with Finnegan Rhodes engraved on the handle. "It's a family heirloom," she said, her voice carrying across the hushed gathering. "It was Darien's when he was a baby, and my father-in-law's before that. 4 generations of Rhodes men have used this rattle. It's beautiful," I acknowledged, though I couldn't help thinking it looked more like a museum piece than something a baby would actually play with. "Thank you, Marianne." "I thought we'd lost it," Darien said, examining the rattle with obvious nostalgia. "Where did you find it?" "In your father's things after he passed," she replied. "I've been saving it for when you had a son of your own." She reached over to stroke Finn's cheek. "The Rhodes legacy continues." Something about her phrasing made me tense. Finn was a Rhodes, yes, but he was also a Winters, my family name, with its own history and legacy, modest though it might be compared to Darien's. "Open ours next," Kenna called from the back, nodding toward a large, awkwardly wrapped package propped against a tree. Darien retrieved it for me, setting it on the ground in front of my chair. I handed Finn to him so I could unwrap it properly, revealing a handmade wooden rocking horse, simple but beautifully crafted, with a hand-stitched leather saddle. "Dad made it," Kenna explained, moving forward. "He's been working on it since you announced your pregnancy." Emotion caught in my throat. Our father, a carpenter by trade, had created special pieces for all his family's milestones. This rocking horse represented hours of careful work, love built into every detail. "It's perfect," I said, running my hand over the smooth wood. "Finn will treasure it. When he's older, of course," Marianne added with a slight laugh. "Much too dangerous for an infant," I bit back a retort, reminding myself that this was supposed to be a celebration, not a battlefield. The gift opening continued, the pile growing until it nearly obscured the small table behind us. Throughout it all, Finn remained miraculously asleep, stirring only occasionally in Darien's arms. Finally, when the last present had been opened and recorded, Marianne stood and clinked her glass with a silver spoon. "I'd like to propose a toast," she announced, her voice carrying across the yard. "To my beautiful grandson Finnegan, and to the joy he's brought into all our lives." Glasses were raised as murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. "And," she continued, turning toward Darien with a warm smile, "to my wonderful son, who has made me proud every day of his life, and who will be an amazing father, just as I always knew he would be." Darien stood, Finn still cradled against his chest, and the look of absolute adoration he gave his mother made my chest tighten. There was nothing wrong with the son loving his mother, I reminded myself. Nothing at all. "Thank you, Mom," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "For everything you've done for us, for this amazing party, for your support. I wouldn't be who I am without you." He looked around at the gathering, then back at his mother. "I'm the luckiest man alive. I have a beautiful son, a successful career, and the most important woman in my life right here to share it all with." The moment his words registered, I felt as if the air had been sucked from my lungs. The most important woman in his life? As I sat there having just given birth to his child 4 weeks ago, after carrying that child for 9 months, as I recovered from 20 hours of labor, as I nursed and nurtured his son day and night, he was calling his mother the most important woman in his life. I looked up at Darien, hoping, praying that he would correct himself, would realize what he'd said. But he was beaming at Marianne, completely oblivious to the bomb he'd just dropped. Around us, guests shifted uncomfortably. Kenna caught my eye from across the yard, her expression a mixture of shock and indignation on my behalf. And to Layla, of course, Marianne added smoothly, perhaps sensing the sudden tension. For giving us this precious boy. Giving us. Not giving birth to your son or Bookkeeper becoming a mother, but giving us, as if Finn were a gift I'd provided to the Rhodes family rather than my own child. I stood abruptly, nearly upsetting the glass of water on the small table beside me. "Excuse me," I managed, handing my glass to a startled Darien before walking, not running. Though every instinct screamed at me to flee toward the house. Behind me I heard confused murmurs. Marianne's voice saying something about hormones and overwhelmed, and Darien calling my name. But I kept walking, one foot in front of the other, until I reached our bedroom and closed the door firmly behind me. Only then, in the quiet of our room with its half-assembled crib and changing table cluttered with diapers, did I allow the tears to come. The knock came 10 minutes later, a gentle, hesitant tapping that I recognized as Darien's. I'd moved to the window seat, knees pulled to my chest, staring at the oak tree in our neighbor's yard without really seeing it. "Layla?" His voice was tentative. "Can I come in?" Part of me wanted to refuse, to protect this small pocket of space where I could process my hurt without having to manage his feelings too. But we had a yard full of guests, and a scene was the last thing I wanted. "It's your bedroom too," I replied, not turning from the window. The door opened and I heard his careful footsteps approaching. "Kenna has Finn. He's still sleeping." A pause. "Are you okay?" The question was so absurd I almost laughed. "No, Darien, I'm not okay." He sat on the edge of the window seat, maintaining a careful distance. "I don't understand what happened out there." I finally turned to look at him. This man I'd loved for 7 years, this father of my child, this stranger who couldn't see what was right in front of him. "You called your mother the most important woman in your life," I said quietly. While I sat there, 4 weeks postpartum, holding our son, his expression shifted from confusion to realization, then dismay. "Layla, I didn't mean stop." I held up a hand. "Don't tell me what you meant. Your words were perfectly clear. It was just a toast," he protested. "A way to thank my mom for everything she's done." "It was a revelation," I countered, "about where I stand in your priorities." He reached for my hand and I let him take it, feeling strangely detached. "You and Finn are my world," he insisted. "You know that." "Do I?" I looked into his eyes, searching for the man I thought I'd married. "Because it seems like your mother has been running our lives since she arrived. Taking over our home, our celebration, our parenting decisions. And you've let her. She's trying to help." "No, Darien. She's trying to control." "There's a difference." A long silence stretched between us, broken only by the muffled sounds of the party continuing outside. Finally, Darien spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I messed up. What I said was thoughtless and wrong. You are the most important woman in my life. You and Finn are everything to me." I wanted to believe him. Desperately, but the events of the past few days, culminating in that devastating toast, had revealed a pattern I could no longer ignore. "I need you to show me, not just tell me," I said finally. "I need you to put us, your family, the one we've created together, first." He nodded slowly, the gravity of the moment settling between us. "What do you want me to do right now?" I took a deep breath. "Go back out there and tell everyone the party's over. Thank them for coming, but explain that I need rest and Finn needs quiet. Then ask your mother to stay with your cousin for the rest of her visit." His eyes widened. "Layla, this is what I need, Darien. To know that you can choose us, even when it's difficult." A knock interrupted us, Kenna, with a now awake Finn. As she handed him to me, her eyes asked a silent question. I nodded slightly. I was okay. Darien watched as Finn settled against me, his tiny hand reflexively gripping my finger. Something shifted in his expression, resolution, perhaps, or simply clarity. "I'll take care of it," he said, standing. "All of it." As he left to face the guests and his mother, I held our son close, knowing that whatever happened next would define not just our marriage, but the family we were building together.